I'm so excited, and I just can't cope. I'm Ollie Davis, your Jam That Champion, and I'm joined on our first podcast episode of 2025 by Luco and DAD, where today it's the gang back together to review AEW Dynamite's first ever episode on Max Fight for the Fallen special. If you haven't already, please press the thumbs up button, give us a subscribe, leave a comment down below with what you thought of this episode, and send in your OmegaChats to WrestleTalk.com/support. We'll read out every single one of them, over $5 before the end of the show.
Yeah.
But to start off, we are talking about Trevor and his naughty pair of golden scissors.
So you and I, on the World's End review, both sat here, arms slightly folded, being like, didn't love that segment. When Ricochet and Prince Nana threw toilet paper at him.
Swerve and Prince Nana.
What did I say? Ricochet. Sorry. Swerve and Prince Nana threw toilet paper at Ricochet. Well, the crowd did, I suppose. I didn't love that segment because I felt like it made Swerve not feel cool. It made him feel like a lame. When John Cena was at his all-time lamest, it kind of made him feel like that. But I thought that this segment here was like a really great payoff to that, because it was like, this was pure escalation to like, oh, you thought that was, we did a little bit of fun and jokes on Saturday. Well, now I'm trying to murder you with actual scissors, which is kind of great because it's the sort of thing that Swerve would have done 6 months ago to someone else.
And Ricochet has been kind of a comedy goofball for the last month in that C2 story and build. So it's a really nice and effective tonal change. I mean, I always thought he was going to become serious pissed off Trevor, and that's what happened on this episode. But I guess at the time of World's End, I didn't appreciate, maybe the toilet roll thing is a bit lame, but actually in the bigger picture, it's a necessary bit of lameness.
Totally. To
make the Ricochet full-on violent heel turn feel way more unhinged.
Yeah, and he did feel unhinged in this segment because like it's a triple threat match. It's Roderick Strong, Swerve Strickland, and Jay White. The winner, correct me if I'm wrong on this, not only gets the number one spot in the Casino Gauntlet, but gets a spot in the Gauntlet. So the two losers here in Roddy and Swerve won't be in the Gauntlet next week.
Which I like because that makes next week's Casino Gauntlet feel special. I'm really looking forward to it already. I think it's going to be jam-packed with stars. More in common with the All-In Casino Gauntlet. I think Speedball Mike Bailey's probably going to debut in that. But, it just makes... That stipulation made me ask more questions. What about everyone else? Don't they have to qualify? Because Swerve's a pretty big deal.
Yeah. And I think
surely he should just go in. If Jeff Jarrett's getting up, can just say he's got a spot.
Well,
why does Swerve have to wrestle a match?
My question is more like, why isn't anyone fighting for the number 2 spot? Because really that's just as important as the number 1 spot. But also, if whoever is number 2 didn't have to go through a triple threat qualifier in order to get that spot. They just got that spot and didn't have to put on the line that they might not even get to qualify for the match. Plus, as we all know from Roderick Strong has set the example, that if you aren't actually in the match, you can just ask Tony Khan for a world title match the following week and you'll get it.
It's unfortunately canon.
So it was a triple threat match between... We'll get into that in a second, because let's talk about the angle. Because Swerve is starting to make his comeback and stuff, and he's walking on the barricade. And then Ricochet sort of appears in the crowd, and
in a lovely suit.
Very lovely suit, with a lovely white shirt, which was, chosen for a reason.
But also baby blue jacket and trousers. Thought it looked good.
And he then stabbed Swerve in the head with a golden pair of scissors.
The kind of scissors you might open a shopping mall with.
Yeah.
The red tape thing.
And then he just stood there staring at Swerve. And back in the ring, Roderick Strong gets hit with the hidden blade by Jay White. Jay White pins
the Blade Runner.
Sorry, the Blade Runner. You are absolutely correct on that one. The Blade Runner for
Too many
the win.
blades.
And it was, really good finish. I really liked the match, actually. I thought the three matches
all the matches were good on this
Yeah,
show.
really, really good. And then afterwards, Ricochet just hops over the barricade, like, Swerve's got blood pouring down his head, and he stabs him in the head some more. And then he, like, wipes on his shirt, like, rubs it on his head, and he's just got this, like, glazed over look in his eye. And it did remind me, and I think by design, that killer version of Swerve Strickland that used to break into people's houses and cut promos on babies. Like, this is the man that Swerve used to be, and no longer is. And I thought it was a really cool, like, considering that he's now the guy that's being attacked by that. Really great. And then the Undisputed Kingdom ran down to make the save far too late because they're a big bunch of dorks, I guess.
The Lane Brigade. Oh, gee Willipers, Roddy. We're back together again. We can do anything. We can do singles. We can do trios. We can do triple threats. Can we, strong old pal?
You're not into the Undisputed Kingdom?
No. But with Ricochet, the last month I've really enjoyed the ha-ha and the heel work. It's a side we've not really got to see from him in WWE, and even when I would watch him on the Indies before you knew about him, he didn't have that either. He was actually just more, I'm cool Ricochet, and I'm naturally quite witty, but I'm a babyface. We haven't seen a sort of goofball heel Ricochet. But there was a bit of me that thought, it's kind of limiting, though, this character. I could see him joining, say, the Hurt Syndicate, where he is a bit of a Jimmy Uso.
So, Sat had this brilliant point on the last Dynamite episode we did, is like, every group needs an X-Pac. And at the moment, the Hurt Syndicate are getting cheered because they're too cool. So you can put Ricochet in that group, who's legit annoying when he's being this heel, and that can be your source of heat. Every group needs an X-Pac.
But with the Jimmy Uso, I think, X-Pac, to use a more up-to-date example, I guess, Jimmy Uso isn't that threatening. I guess neither was X-Pac in the DX.
You just see him with nunchucks.
But what Ricochet's managed to do here is actually feel, because he was so unhinged and the level of violence was so sort of pointed, pun intended, is that he feels more like a Joker style. Oh wow, you're goofy and you're silly, but you're dangerous. I don't want to be around you.
Yeah,
which is a nice mix to have, and I hope he can carry that on and flesh it out even more.
I'm curious to see what, because I got the impression that the toilet paper moment was the snap. Like that is when I've been this guy, but now you've unlocked Trevor. And now,
is that the inner? That's the inner demon.
That's the inner demon.
That's the Hyde.
Is Trevor, and so Trevor is now going to come out and be this sort of unhinged guy. Did you hear the report that Samantha Irvin was at the show?
Oh, I didn't know. What? Screw her! I can't believe her. She left my beloved WWE. She told me she wouldn't go anywhere else in wrestling.
Good
stuff though.
I thought it was a really, really great angle. That followed on from a really, really good match.
He hit Nana with a chair as well.
Yeah.
Which I think 6 months ago would have got insane heat. Here it was like, oh, okay. Take out Nana. Yeah. Smart move.
I very much enjoyed the segment. I thought the match was great. Do you want to quickly talk about the triple threat as well? Did you have any other questions you had about the stipulation itself?
Well, no, I sort of got them all out. It was a fine match. I've not actually written any notes. Until Roddy chucked Jay White over the top rope onto Swerve outside.
Yeah, an atomic drop, no less.
Yeah, cool way to go to break.
I really enjoyed that. That was also the note that I made.
Yeah.
And then Ricochet appears and stabs Swerve with a pair of scissors.
The bit I want to talk about more is the bookend of the Lane Brigade, because before then it's got Marvez interviewing the Undisputed Kingdom, because Roderick Strong's in the qualifying match. And then it's the Undisputed Kingdom who make the save at the end for Swerve. And they felt super lame. Like, they felt so lame to me backstage altogether. Cole doing his, hey, we're together now, finally.
The group's complete.
And Kyle literally says, we've got everything covered. Singles, tags, trios, triple threats. Ain't that right? Ain't that right, Roddy? And Roddy goes, it sure is. I was like, who are you guys?
I was kind of willing at the end of the segment when they make the save that they beat down Swerve as well.
Honestly, this was so over the top. We're baby faces now. Surely they're turning heel.
They have to, man. Like, because they're not going to get cheered.
And then they run down. comically late to save Swerve Strickland.
Yeah.
This was not a babyface booking of them.
I don't think Adam Cole is a very good babyface.
Which is weird because he's a very earnest, real life person.
They're really likable dudes,
Yeah.
but on screen, I think it's just you look at me like, oh, you should just be a heel. Like all of his best runs that he has had as a wrestler was when he's been a heel.
Yeah. So yeah, I just thought the getting over of Ricochet, the threat of Ricochet, his new character, him as a heel, perfectly done. The Undisputed Era stuff that was also here, Undisputed Kingdom, was actually rubbish.
Yeah, I think they are quite lame as a trio.
Should we see what everyone thinks in the OmegaChats?
Absolutely. Real Double J here said, Happy New Year, lads. I hope Rick leans into his delusional gimmick and goes by his real name, Trevor Mann. Hear me out. He can call himself a man's man. The crowd can chant, boo this man. And Tony Khan can use Salt and Pepper's What a Man as his theme as well.
TK loves the licensed music right now. Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting is coming back for Collision as well.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
He is flush with that Warner Bros. Discovery cash.
What did, we might as well talk about it now. What did you make of the Pointer Sisters being the theme?
I mean, I loved it, but I thought, oh, that's a fun way to start this one episode. And then, what is it? Is it true that it's going to be
the new Dynamite theme? I'm so excited, I just can't hide it.
Of course I love it, but I wouldn't do that. I don't think it's a good way to get hyped.
I said in my editor's review, nothing says appeal to the younger audience quite like having the Pointer Sisters as your theme.
He's looked at the demos. He's just going to concentrate on what he has right now. I think NXT might start with Old Man River.
It is like, it's a fun song, you know, and the whole thing is just like, I'm so excited and I just can't hide it. I'm about to lose control and I think I like it. But when you combine that with wrestling, it does look like a fan edit.
Well, it looks camp. And you'll find few greater fans of camp than me and you. Mm-hmm. I was literally at the Julian Clary Panto on Monday night. But I think it does limit... Thematically, it jars with the rest of the program you're trying to put on, particularly when you have segments like the Ricochet one.
I agree. I don't think it is. I think some people are making a mountain out of a molehill. That this is like change the channel. Like no one will watch this show because of this theme. Like that's absolutely not going to happen whatsoever. But I don't think it is the most. It's the most. I don't think it's the most stylistic choice that they could have made for the presentation.
What would you have? Hot to go?
I mean, it's current at the very least, but I don't think I'd go with a pop song. I think maybe this is just because I was born in the mid '80s. But new metal is the way forward for all the wrestling. I just think new metal and wrestling just works together.
I've always thought this song by Drowning Pool would be good to use in WWE.
But legit,
Let the bodies hit the... Do you know that one?
Okay, so legit though, two of the greatest video packages that WWE have ever produced have been soundtracked by Limp Bizkit and Drowning Pool. Do you know why? It's because new metal just suits pro wrestling.
I thought you were going to say Creed.
No,
both of them.
No, there's those two, and one they get memed a lot because it's Creed.
How dare you? Unironically love that song. Let's see who else. Not actually Tesco. Memberg for 23 months. Well, that was a bit of fun, eh? Trevor's gone full maniac and taken scissors beats paper too seriously, and I'm here for it. Hope you're well, chaps.
Yeah, doing very well.
Well, Tesco.
Yeah.
Lizanne Al Gabe says, it always bothered me for no good reason that Taz kept calling him Cope. It's very hard to believe someone with a cool nickname as Edge is called Cope backstage. Anyway, I'm done yelling at clouds. Did the theme song really change? I like it.
Well, there you go.
This is the news that Edge, who was then called Adam Copeland, is now called Cope.
Yes, we'll come on to that in a little bit. Can we, Mod Mother, if you can hear me, can we have a poll? Theme song. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Or theme song. So excited, not excited. As the two options.
I like it.
Juan Gordo Gillen, member for 39 months in a row, says 4 out of 5 show.
Yeah, I thought this was a fairly standard feeling episode of Dynamite. So maybe Should we talk about that now? Like, we'll jump into the whole show.
Let's do. Keep getting in your chats to WrestleTalk.com/support. We'll read out every single one over $5. And also go over to our Patreon, patreon.com/WrestleTalk. That's where you can get now in its completion our full 5-episode, but probably 20-hour epic series covering Samoa Joe and Kurt Angle's rivalry in TNA.
We did all of the highs and so many lows while covering this 2-year period of TNA in these 5 episodes. You can go watch all of them right now over at patreon.com/WrestleTalk. I enjoyed every single one that we did.
Yeah.
Might be one of the most fun times I've had doing WrestleTalk Extra.
Well, I think that and Monday Night War for me recently. Yeah, it's the most fun of... And MJ, the MJF day was great. So yeah, all of the best stuff happened at the end of the year, which is good. It's
nice.
Go over to patreon.com/WrestleTalk and you can sign up there. Right, so this episode began with the I'm So Excited opening theme. Then we got a pre-filmed promo with the D-Riders, Jon Moxley. He is at a point now where when he used to cut promos, every promo, whether it be in the ring or just like a 30-second backstage, just so happened to be one of the best wrestling promos of the decade. He seems to have slipped into this bit, at least for me, where he now feels a bit Bray Wyatt, where he says a lot of stuff, it sounds good, but it kind of washes over me.
I think I agree, and I think perhaps it's because this group still feels like it's in first gear, and we're quite a bit into this now. He's had a couple of title defenses. They've been featured on TV a lot. The threat of the D-Riders does not feel as great as it once did. So then if you're still doing the How Power chat, it kind of falls a little flat.
He said, we're not rebels, because that would mean there's an authority to go against. They're the authority. Which I thought was a good line.
I enjoyed the line where I would rather destroy this AEW World Championship than have someone beat me for it.
And he carries it around in a briefcase. Sort of confusing with Christian's briefcase.
Well, he hasn't got a briefcase. He's got a clipboard.
He's got a contract, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we got a rated FTR promo, which was sort of filmed before the show went on air. It's a lot more live.
It's a return promo.
FTR and Adam Copeland say some things.
Yeah, it said that we can see the fear in the eyes of Mox.
Orange Cassidy and Hangman Page was the opening match, which was really good, I thought.
I love this match.
And it was standing back and forth stuff, and then Hangman's working over Cassidy. Cassidy rolls away from the buckshot lariat spot, and that sort of builds all of Orange's usual bits where he puts the hands in the pockets, he does the kicks, he fires up. And then there was a really cool idea for a spot. I don't think it quite worked. Cassidy reversed a buckshot lariat into a beach break, but it just looked like a back body drop.
The beach break sometimes does a little bit, yeah.
Then came the finish, where I guess it was dramatic, but it sort of made maybe Hangman feel a bit too superpowered. Orange hits one orange punch, then another, and then Adam Page is spilled out onto the apron. He stands up, he's gripping on. Cassidy hits a third orange punch, and Hangman sort of uses that to go backwards and propel himself in to hit a buckshot lariat for the win.
So I loved this match for 2 reasons. Number one is it's kind of a great follow-up from World's End, which is that Orange Cassidy feels that Hangman screwed him in their world title match because he had the pin on Jon Moxley and Hangman Page pulled out the referee. And Hangman Page is angry at Orange Cassidy because you're in my way. Not realizing that the reason why he didn't get the win is because he took out the referee while trying to screw over Orange Cassidy. He was literally in his own way, but he's blaming someone else for it. So it's brilliant for the Hangman Page character. The second reason I love it is actually into that finish, because the story of the match for me was that Orange Cassidy was using a lot of the stuff that he usually does, like the rolling away spot or the kicks, the hands in the pockets, and none of it worked. Every single time he was gaining some momentum when he was doing his comeback, Page just shut him down. Just with one power move and took him back down again. So then he would start to come back, boom, shut you down with one move. Start to come back, poof, shut you down with one move. So even then, when he's trying to throw out his punches, like, Page just absorbed it all and hit the buckshot lariat for the win. No matter what Cassidy did when he was going to his old bag of tricks, was not working against Hangman Adam Page. And that tied him really nicely into the finish.
Yeah, so it's pretty definitive. And then, just in case you were cheering Hangman for being cool, they very clearly said, no, he is a heel. He's definitely a heel. So Hangman beats up Cassidy. He hits 2 dead eyes on him. And Cassidy's selling of the neck, I thought, was really good on that. The officials run down right away to stop him with Christopher Daniels. Why didn't they come down quicker for Swerve?
Well, it's because he got taken out here. So because he attacked Christopher Daniels here, which meant that Daniels was then taken out. So then couldn't make the save for Swerve later on. Also, Swerve has no friends. That is canon.
Yes, okay. But Hangman punches Christopher Daniels during all of this. What's Daniels' role right now?
Well, they said on commentary, he is no longer an EVP, but he is an official.
But he is also a wrestler because he wrestled that one match last summer.
But it was only the one match, so I don't know whether or not he is a contracted wrestler or whether or not he just, put the suit up for one night to take on Jack Perry on Collision.
After that, Jay White had a backstage promo. He talked about how Wheeler Yuta screwed him out of the title at World's End, and he's going to get a shot by winning the Casino Gauntlet next week.
Yeah.
Which he will be in because he won the single qualifying match to get in the number 1 spot.
Yeah, because he also said as well, I didn't know that they had a show in 2 weeks' time called Maximum Carnage, but he was like, there's still a road for me to get to Maximum Carnage. And I'm like, to what now?
The third Venom movie?
Is this your new gimmick? Is that you're going to create Maximum Carnage?
That sounds like something Alex Riley would have had.
Rage!
But I guess now we're talking about it. Maybe the idea was Roddy, Jay, and Swerve all sacrifice their ability to be in the Casino Gauntlet.
Yes.
To be first in the Casino Gauntlet.
That is what commentary were trying to get over, yeah. And I think I've brought this up before, but I think that a really good way to promote the Casino Gauntlet is to put over the importance of the number 1 spots, because it guarantees you are in the match. But again, I point out number 2 is the same way, but this has been a Royal Rumble problem for 20 plus years. But also, it's the one that's got it's a double-edged sword, because it means you're in the match the longest. It means that you have got more chance. You've got more chances to win, but also you've got to have more chances of fatigue. And I feel like they get over the first part of that, but never really the second part of that, which I think actually makes it more compelling.
The Acclaimed are going to take on the Hurt Syndicate next, and they have a pre-match promo. It's one of those inset ones. And despite having 4 or 5 days to bring this up, Anthony Bowens waited until this promo with Max Caster to say, why'd you punch me in the Jericho match?
And Max Caster was like, why are you asking me now? Why did you wait until now to ask this?
So there's dissension there. They have the match. MVP's on commentary. He was very good. Bowens is doing well, but Caster blind tags, or is that the other way around?
No, you were right. Bowens was in, and Caster blind
tags himself in.
On his second attempt.
Yes. Yeah, because Caster was in the wrong place.
He missed the first one. He missed the first blind tag.
And then sort of Bowens is so annoyed, he stands outside and he watches Shelton Benjamin hit 4 German suplexes. Then Bobby gets in, dripping with sweat. How? Just got out the shower, Bobby Lashley.
They're in smaller buildings now, so that the heat is more condensed in there.
And he hits, he just essentially squashes Caster.
Yeah, hit him with a spear for the win, and then locked in the Hurt Lock. I thought this was this is good stuff. I'm with the Acclaimed, I'm like, split or not, But I think that struck to me, because I was thinking about your 3 counts. On commentary, MVP was like, we don't want Max Caster. We gave him the business card, but he took too long. We don't want people like him. And your 3 count prediction was it's going to be a Swerve, and Bowens joins the group instead.
I think it'd be much better.
And I just got this moment here. I was like, I think maybe you might be onto something.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I hope so. It doesn't really make sense because Bowens was really going at the Hurt Syndicate. So story-wise, it will have to be something that Bowens decides to do in the next couple of weeks, as opposed to it being the plot all along.
Yeah, I also do hope that we return to this Lashley Swerve thing at some point.
Nah, we're past that now. Trevor.
Well, yeah, I know we're sort of moving them off into different directions, but quite a good storyline going on there that we just stopped.
But Tony Khan doesn't want to beat Lashley just yet. Pause. You're over here. You're over there. After that, we got Marvez interviewing Swerve backstage before his match. He said he's going to win the Casino Gauntlet.
It'll be his first one ever because he's been champion for the 3 other times they've done them.
Do you think that means maybe Trevor could be in the Casino Gauntlet and Swerve takes him out?
Yeah, I could say so. Yeah.
Jamie Hayter then took on Julia Hart. I was looking forward to this, but I felt like there was... I don't know if the crowd weren't into it as much, but it lacked a bit of intensity.
It does. I mean, the crowd reaction to it, I think, is interesting because it's almost systematic of 5 years of telling the audience that the women's division is not as important as the men's division.
But it's also Julia Hart and Jamie Hayter, two of the more beloved people who have come out of the women's division.
But Jamie Hayter's come back and hasn't exactly lit the world on fire because she has been given a lot of lower level stuff. And I'm not against her doing lower level stuff. If you've got no plans to put her in the world title picture because you pressed pause on that, then having her on TV and having her in sort of these regular feuds does give her something to do. But it also now has kind of positioned her to be like, well, when she is just doing lower level stuff. And Julia, it's her first match back in a while, but like all the momentum that she did have before injury, you've got to kind of like rebuild all that momentum. And actually, I think that's the same with Jamie as well, is that she had so much momentum pre-injury, but that can be really squashed out and like extinguished if you've been out for a long period of time.
I think Julia was really good,
yeah,
considering the amount of time she'd spent out. Like she just feels like because she's so slight in her frame. But she feels dangerous.
Yeah.
Because she'll just bust something out, like on the steel steps, she dropped Jamie onto it and targeted the bit that Jamie had previously injured. And it's sort of back and forth for a while, but then at the end, Julia Hart gets an arrow.
Yeah, from her vignettes.
Definitely an illegal weapon.
That's why the referee took it away.
Referee takes it away, but really it was all a ruse. She wanted the referee to be distracted because Julia Hart then misted Jamie in the face.
Yeah.
And usually you're like, surely the referee would pick up on all the mist on their face. They shouldn't count the pin. But I thought Julia Hart did a good job of like pressing down on the face to cover it up. And then Jamie rolled out right away.
Yeah.
So the referee, you could believe that the referee never saw the aftermath.
Completely agree. I really enjoyed the match. I thought to echo what you said, I thought Julie looked great in this match.
Well, I wouldn't say I enjoyed the match.
No, I did.
I just thought it was something was missing.
I think I would agree with that, but I did enjoy the match overall. But with the Jamie Hayter thing, it is totally fine for her to be doing some feuds with Julia Hart or with Harley Cameron or things like that, because you've not got plans to put her in the world title picture. But also it feels like with the world title picture, you've got no plans. So you may as well have just put Jamie Hayter back into the world title picture then.
Yeah, because then she can return at All In the moment when Toni Storm leaves.
Yep.
Mariah May's got a built-in big momentum return feud right there.
A ready-made one.
Yeah.
But a broken record at this point, but that's only because it's been going on for so bloody long. We've just hit pause, waiting for Toni Storm to come back, and now we've got to sort of very slowly press unpause because we've got to tell the second half of the Toni Storm story, where she is now rediscovering who she really is.
There is a dimension out there where All In happens, women's belt super hot. Mariah May has a feud with Jamie Hayter, yes.
Yep, absolutely.
And Toni Storm comes back the next week as rookie Toni Storm.
Yeah.
And then you tell those two stories and you do Storm versus May at World's End. Because she's built herself up as a rookie.
Yeah.
Oh, can you imagine that? If she won the title on her first go at trying.
Could you imagine?
We got a video package of Ospreay versus Fletcher. Magnificent match.
So, sorry, because there's a bit of a thing for me on this episode. You and I kind of briefly talked about this before we came in as well, but this is the debut episode of this show on Max. So the idea of being on a streaming service and the reason why they keep touting this as like a new era for AEW is, in theory, there will be more eyeballs on this show than there would have been the previous week when it was just on TBS, because it's on Max and a streaming service. Same thing that WWE doing with Netflix. There will be, in theory, way more eyes, and also it was a good moneymaker for them as well.
I was going to say multiple verticals.
And they got a big, rights increase from it and stuff. It's a profitable company, for the next 3 years. Great success for them. And same thing with WWE on Netflix, the theory being, there'll be so many more millions new eyeballs available to watch Raw than there have been for years previous. This could be a whole new boom for them. So I don't know why. Maybe this is more me on me than it is anything else. But I was like, well, if this is your debut show on Max, you're going to do a real big like statement show. And I don't feel that AEW did a statement show this week. This felt like a show they would have done last week when it was just on TBS. And that's the thing against the show. I thought the show was very good. But I was like, man, if I've got this opportunity, I'm putting Will Ospreay in a match.
Oh,
and
yeah.
like as your opening match as well. Because if you have got the best wrestler on the planet who's just come off a pay-per-view where he did 2 back-to-back banging matches, I'd probably put him on TV to be like, this is where the best wrestle, and you make your statement with Will.
You'd have a promo with Kenny.
You'd have
maybe promoting that Wrestle Dynasty show on Sunday.
Exactly. An in-ring segment with MJF.
You'd have a title change. You've got enough of them.
You would kind of do something really big on this show to appeal to these potential new eyeballs. But they kind of didn't do any of that.
It's all for maximum carnage.
Like, I guess. But that's in 2 weeks' time. And you have said yourself many times before, you've only got one shot at a first... what is it? You've only got
one shot at the first impression.
That's the one. So I kind of feel it was and by all accounts, according to Fightful Select, Will was in America. So it's not like he'd flown home or he's flown over to Japan. Kenny's in Japan, I think, which is why he wasn't on this show getting ready for Wrestle Dynasty. But him not being on this show, Will not being on this show, I felt like there was a few missed...
Jericho.
That was...
Well, yeah,
yes.
We agree maybe his actor's a bit tired, but in terms of, you've got new viewers
Absolutely.
who might recognize Jericho.
Totally.
Very valuable.
So yeah, I thought that was a surprise.
That's a nice, kind way to put it.
Well, I mean...
I was surprised.
You
chose that route.
I was surprised that they chose that route. I'm using that word wisely because the last time I made this point, when they went up against NXT, and also I was surprised at how they didn't put on a statement show. A lot of people got really mad at me. So I'm just saying, I'm surprised.
It's weirdly similar to how they started 2024, which wasn't like this big boom episode of title changes and, it's a perfect jumping on point for new fans or a reset of the new year. Although I think you did have like Adam Cole doing his first promo and bits like that. But they then did build really nicely throughout January to what was actually my favorite 4-week run of Dynamite last year. Ending in that Samoa Joe Hook match.
Yeah.
Which was one of the more highly rated shows of the year that didn't involve CM Punk.
Because that's the counter argument that I was going to put forward so you can do both sides of the coin. Is, the WWE method of doing this is like what they're doing with the Raw on Netflix debut. It's Roman versus Solo. It's Punk versus Rollins. It's Rhea versus Liv. We're going to have The Rock. We're going to have Cody Rhodes. We're going to have Logan Paul. We're going to have a bunch of returns. The debut of Penta and all of this sort of stuff. You're going to do all of these, like everything. But you can't do that every week because you can't. Like you will burn out if you do that. So perhaps the in-between there is kind of what Dynamite is doing, which is just presenting, this is what the weekly show is, and you build from there, as opposed to doing a big bang, and then hoping that people stick around for when it's Otis versus Chad Gable.
Well, so the big draws on this episode are Cope, Wrestling Mox, in a way, and Jeff Jarrett's announcement.
Mercedes Moné doing an in-ring promo.
I don't know if that's a big draw. There's what's the intrigue there? Jeff Jarrett, mystery. What's the announcement going to be?
I think it's just because she's a name.
Yeah,
a recognizable face.
But that's something you would see on. Mercedes Moné. We'll hear from Mercedes Moné. That could be any week of the last 52.
Yeah.
But Adam Copeland's wrestling. Jeff Jarrett's going to make an announcement. Those two things. Those are the draws for this episode. I don't think that's enough. I've never been the biggest. I love Edge, but I'm not like, I must watch everything that Edge does. And I don't think he has that sort of draw power to him in AEW. Maybe I'm wrong. Now he's come back, but if anything, for me, it's lessened since his debut. So I think, yes, do a slowly building show for your 2025 plans. I'm on board with that. But also, do one big thing for this first episode.
I suppose the Ricochet angle was the one big thing.
That's a good point, actually.
Because it is a big angle.
It's a big angle. But it wasn't announced in advance.
That Ricochet was going to do a stabbing angle. Tune in for the top of the hour because Ricochet's going to stab someone.
There was no big title match where the title could change hands.
No, the big thing is that you mentioned earlier is the fact that the world champion is wrestling and he's going to be wrestling against Copeland and they've never had a match before.
But all the is it Asheville?
Yeah,
that was all very lovely.
That was all nice, yeah.
So maybe that's like the good vibes from that outweigh a bigger draw.
By the way, I'm not saying that either way is right or wrong either. It's just I come here to give my opinions on things, and that was my takeaway from this.
No, you made yourself quite clear.
Because we then got a video for Okada being the greatest tournament wrestler of all time and the return of Kenny Omega, and they said Omega is back on the show next week.
That's you. Next week's show, Omega back, that Casino Gauntlet. The week after that is Maximum Carnage.
And that's got Hook and Christian, and it's got the world title match on it. So that is the slow incremental build of things, which I think is a smart way about doing things. But it was when they said, like, Kenny's back next week, I was like, yeah, there's no Will on this show. There's no Kenny on this show. It's interesting that this is the first episode of Dynamite on Max. And then Okada cut a promo telling Kenny to stay out of his business. So when they finished the Kenny video as well, they made sure to show the all-in text to be like, by the way, lads, this is where it is going to be.
Oh, I just hope I can stay alive. But then you've got the biggest draw, Mercedes Moné.
I never said she was the biggest draw. Like, I think if you were to argue who is a bigger draw, Mercedes Moné or Jeff Jarrett, I'm probably going to say it's Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah.
But, some people might think it's Mercedes Moné.
Moné comes down to the ring. It's all in red carpet. There's a single table with a champagne bucket and a bottle of champagne. She introduces her own 2024 highlight package. What a heel. And it just goes through all the great matches she's put on. She was both number 6 and number 1 on Sports Illustrated's Best Women's Matches of 2024, which was Moné Statlander 1. I think you'd probably put Moné Statlander 2 in there as well.
Great match.
And Moné versus Suzuki in December. She's got a 15-0 undefeated streak. Great job of putting her over. And then she says, cuts back to her in the ring, and I'm going to come for Mina Shirakawa on Sunday's show because she wants that Rev Pro British Championship. Hey, that's our belt.
That's our belt.
And then she took one sip of champagne, and then she left. And I thought, what was all this for?
I've written here, this could have been an email.
What were the kayfabe reasons for this segment?
So she could come out and brag about her successful year. Like, I think, kayfabe-wise, I've got no issue with it. I just wouldn't have booked it on this show because, because it's like, oh, MJF did have a promo in the show. It's like, yeah, but have an in-ring promo where you can interact with the fans because I think you get more out of that than MJF doing a backstage promo that was taped on Saturday. Like, I was waiting for Mina Shirakawa to come out or like them to do an angle to set up the match that's happening at Wrestle Dynasty, which, by the way, I think AEW has done a piss poor job of co-promoting.
There's champagne right there. She's taken one sip of it. It should be poured over someone or smashed over someone's head.
I was there when I was like, because they focused on her for a while her CEO was playing. I was like, all right, and then music hits and Mina comes out, or music hits and someone comes out. And then I was like, and now here's Alex Marvez, the scoops with the Undisputed Kingdom.
Oh, this women's division is cooking in 2025 right from the start.
But you know what? They said Rev Pro on AEW Dynamite, so therefore 5 out of 5 seconds.
Really nice charity stuff for the Hurricane Helene fallout, which is of course super important to FTR and Cope because they live there. That's when we get the Marvez interview with the Undisputed Kingdom into the triple threat that we've already covered. Ricochet's heel turn, and then Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah, here we go. Pre-woo
is backstage with Team TNA. Are you sure you want to do this, Jeff?
Sure. I've known you for a long time.
I'm sure. Karen walks in. His wife, Kurt Angle's ex-wife. I'm supportive of whatever you want to do, Jeff.
This business brought us together. Sure did. But it's nearly torn us apart as well. Whatever you want to do, I've got your back.
Gives him a pair of boots. So either Jeff Jarrett lied to all of them and told them he was retiring, or they were all doing a yuck Team TNA swerve.
That's what it is. Or
it's never going to come out though.
No, I think it's more a case of it's a fake retirement thing, handing the boots and whatnot. I don't know if it's them being yuck, we've fooled the fans or anything like that, because Jarrett's a babyface at this point.
Then yeah, no, exactly. So Jarrett's lied to them.
So, but it's more, this is his last wrestling contract that he's ever signed.
Right.
That's the, are you sure about this? You sure that you're ready to call it quits?
You can get your boots for those, do you?
Yeah. Take your boots out with you. Did he walk in the mud through the carpet again?
Could be a multi-year contract. You don't say how long it is.
You don't know. Could be a 6-month contract.
There's a Mariah May promo in between this. She talks about how great the women's division is. She's wrestled more matches than anyone else. Everyone's going to come for her. Fine stuff, but nothing of note. And then we get Jeff Jarrett. He comes down to the ring. He puts his boots in the ring. There's a red guitar on the stand. He wishes us a slappy new year.
Sure do.
And he gives the history of the Jarrett family. It stretches all the way back to 1946 with his grandmother in the Tennessee territory. Apparently, there were some white lies here.
No, from Jeff Jarrett? No, tell me another one.
Apparently, so Jeff says that his father took over the Memphis wrestling or Tennessee wrestling, whatever it was. Actually, he started a competitor wrestling outfit. There was a 3-month wrestling war. He took all the young stars and they beat the original one.
Yeah. So it's the WWF and the AWA.
Yeah, but that's too long to say. Bit of poetic license, streamed down the promo. He dropped out of school to become a wrestler, and in 2002, he launched his own promotion.
Well, what he said was, in 2002, I took a risk and I bet on myself and I started my own promotion. I was like, yeah, because the only game in town, you'd burnt your bridge with them and they fired you on TV and you had nowhere else to work. What are you going to do? Go work with the WWA All-Stars?
And he brought in all the people that killed WCW to help him run it.
That promotion's still going. It's still alive, despite the efforts of multiple people. That company is still alive to this day. And also, I know I said WWA All-Stars, and the A in WWA stands for All-Stars. I'm aware that I said that.
He says that promotion, he never names the promotion.
No, you even talked over the people trying to chart the name as well.
Created some of the best wrestlers of all time.
That he took from
Ring
of Honor.
Never then properly pushed.
Because Samoa Joe, Ring of Honor. AJ, you could possibly say that. Yeah. But Daniels, Ring of Honor. Austin Aries is Ring of Honor. Jay Lethal.
Kurt Angle.
Kurt Angle. Jay Lethal, Ring of Honor. A lot of these guys came out from Ring of Honor, and then he gave them more money.
Desmond Wolfe.
Yeah.
And then he teases he's going to retire, but then he says, hell no. And I was just like, yes. Because I didn't see it coming. I thought he was going to retire. But as soon as he said hell no, I'm like, can't he?
Son of a bitch, he's done it again.
He kept on talking about how I've signed my last contract. I was like, oh, okay, that's cute. And at my New Year's resolution, I thought, wait.
Because he's like, I'm going to win gold. And if he knows a thing or two about gold, it's Jeff Jarrett.
And I just thought, as soon as he said gold, I thought, he's not saying gold unless it's the top gold.
And it's like, and I'm not talking about the tags or the trios. I'm talking about one bit of gold in particular.
The AEW World Championship. It's Sony re-releasing Morbius. AEW and Jeff Jarrett have seen our sincere, but also slightly ironic love of Jeff Jarrett and the reactions he gets these days and thought, world title contender.
Disagree. Look, this Death Riders thing isn't working out. We've now got a new mission. Just put the title on Jarrett. What's the worst that could happen?
In a King of the Mountain match. That's the only way I would let it happen.
I think this is going to be setting us up for kind of a Danielson-esque story that we had.
You said Jerry Lawler wrong. A Jerry Lawler-esque story.
Which is that this is my last year, my last wrestling contract I'm going to sign. I want to win the AEW World Championship. So he's entered himself in the Casino Gauntlet next week. Doesn't win that. He'll probably enter himself into the Owen again. Won't win that. Actually, maybe he wins that.
I like that.
I like the idea of him winning, but the idea that he doesn't get these opportunities. But I think you can build this to Moxley versus Jarrett for the world title at some point, probably in a Tennessee location, and that'll be the end of that. But that is slightly
the end of Mox's title run.
Yeah, because this Death Riders thing isn't working. Put the belt on Jarrett. Bree woo. So I think it is nice. It's kind of similar to what they're doing with John Cena over in WWE. The slight difference there is that one of them is John Cena and the other one is infinitely better Jeff Jarrett. But yeah, I mean, I jest. But Jeff Jarrett is no John Cena.
Nor Tanahashi.
Nor Tanahashi.
It does make you look a bit like the Wish promotion. When WWE have got John Cena's last year, New Japan have got Hiroshi Tanahashi's last year, and AEW.
I mean, I know which one I'm watching.
This is from Jeff Jarrett fans.
I was going to say, I know which one I'm watching. I know which one I'm tuning in for.
Leave the Tanahashi for Tempest.
The true ace of North American Pro Wrestling, Jeff Jarrett.
Hey, he's certainly had staying power.
Look, nothing appeals to the younger audience more than having Jeff Jarrett be your AEW World Championship contender.
I think it'll be a great story.
Me too.
I think it'll be really emotional, and that he'll probably end up having to put his career on the line at some point to win the belt.
That's it.
And then he won't win the belt, and it'll be a beautiful send-off that he'll then start doing other promotions dates for within the year. That's fine. That's what I want from Jeff Jarrett.
It'll be him versus Effie before you know it.
Exactly.
Him versus JBL.
Him versus JBL in AAA. Because initially he'll say Mexico doesn't count. Only retired in North America. But then next year he'll wrestle for a promotion in North America. But this is fun. This is fun stuff.
Fun. I very much enjoyed this.
And I like how they built up multiple people going for the world title.
That's, my big takeaway from the show was that, because you had Hangman and Orange Cassidy at the start of the show. You also had Jay White following up from that. You've got Christian Cage with his contract. You have got Jeff Jarrett here. You've got MJF in his promo. Swerve is saying that he wants to go back for the belt again. So you've got a lot of guys who are gunning for that AEW World Championship, which does make it feel like it's the most important prize in the company. So good. I mean, if Jarrett came out and was like, I'm going to win the trios titles, I'm like, all right, yeah, fine, I guess. But him saying, I want to go for the world title does give it a lot more stakes.
There's a promo with Hook. He's sitting on a New York stoop and he challenges Christian for 2 weeks' time after beating Nick Wayne, of course. Then we had Powerhouse Hobbs beating John Cruz and Rob Killjoy.
Oh, is it Killjoy? Because I wrote down Killjoy and then I thought it was Kilroy.
Oh, I thought it was Rob Killjoy.
Maybe it was
Kilroy. But he squashes them by spine-bustering one onto the other.
Yeah, he's in the gauntlet next week.
Marvez interviews Big Bill and Brian Keith. Jericho's not around. And they see rated FTR just standing slightly to the right of shot. And they set up a Learning Tree versus rated FTR match for Collision. So I guess Jericho's going to be there for that.
You'd hope so.
And in this, Edge says to Big Bill, "You've got a stupid face."
So the joke there is that they look alike?
Yes.
Right.
Funny. Then MJF, this is a promo that was filmed after World's End. He's dry blood caked over his face. He's sitting on the ground backstage. And he says, "Well done, Adam Cole. You used a whole army to take me out, and I still beat you. And now I'm going to set my sights on the World Championship." He calls out Mox, and he says a god is greater than a king.
Yeah, what is a king to a god? It's a great line.
I'm excited for this part of this. Is what I wanted after the Adam Cole feud's finished.
No, this is what I wanted after the Ospreay feud finished, more likely. But yeah, I thought this was really, really great. I thought this was a great promo from MJF. I have seen, because I was listening to a podcast that was talking about this being like, oh man, AEW really dropped the ball with MJF in 2024. And I'm like, did they though? Because there was a great feud in the summer when he came back with over Ospreay, and then he left to film a movie. And then he came back and had a pretty duff feud towards the end of the year. But I wouldn't say that one duff feud at the end of the year meant his 2024 was all over terrible, when a lot of it was down to the injuries that kept him off TV and then filming commitments.
I guess it's 50% though. That means 50% of the feuds last year were duff.
Yeah, well, I suppose
I think he's not around the rest of the year.
But then I don't think you can say that his whole 2024 has been duff. And that is all AEW's fault that it was duff, because injuries and filming commitments aren't exactly their fault.
And some of his best career work was done on this table.
Exactly. So, like, I don't think it was as bad as people made out, particularly because I very much enjoyed that Will Ospreay feud. But this is the MJF I want, because I did not like that Adam Cole feud whatsoever. And I'm glad that it's now done. Let's move on to much bigger and brighter things.
I feel like if Max is going against Mox, and what we're saying about Adam Cole does not work as a babyface right now, they might end up being MJF face, Cole heel, which is arguably what they should have been for this feud that's just gone.
Well, they were supposed to be, right? But then Max turned heel again.
On Garcia in the summer.
Yeah. But like, he's getting babyface reactions at this point. He certainly did at World's End anyway. But that's also because Adam Cole's not getting babyface reactions.
The main event was the D-Riders versus Rated FTR. D-Riders of Mox, Claudio, and Yuta, with Marina Shafir on the side. This is when Justin Roberts introduced Edge as Rated R Cope. This promotion's dead.
Yeah, mountain out of molehills. The online reaction to this has been wild.
Yeah,
like, you'd think this was the biggest insult to the professional wrestling landscape.
I don't think it sounds good.
No, it doesn't.
I don't think it's going to kill a promotion that recently renewed 3-year rights deal. But I don't want that. I'm in the middle here. Well, I don't think it's a good name.
No, I'm with you. But I think what it does, it speaks to the old adage of when you are hot, you can do nothing wrong. When you're cold, you can do nothing right. Because really, this is not a big deal. He gets cold Cope, like in his day-to-day life. The idea of Adam Copeland is a clunky in-ring name. It doesn't sound like a good in-ring wrestling name.
It's not Trevor Mann.
No, exactly. But so shortening that down to just Cope also kind of invokes Edge, which is a 4-letter word, one syllable. It's easier to say than Adam Copeland. But it's also as clunky as saying Adam Copeland, because he's called Cope.
Cope.
And that also does not sound like an in-ring wrestling name.
No, it sounds like, it invokes ideas of copium and
that's it.
Try
right?
cope with this. It's not a sort of, in the vernacular, it's not a positive thing.
No, exactly. And you couple that with his rah-rah speech that he was doing in the summer. Or even in the summer, sort of like, when they handled the Ariel Helwani interview very, very poorly. Yeah. So, but because they are just a cold company right now, when you do something that is, let's be honest, fairly insignificant, it seems like a much bigger thing, because there are lots of big things wrong with the company. This is just in a litany of problems the company has right now. So when they announced it, I was like, I've even noticed it, I was like, have they really shortened Adam Copeland's name to just Cope? Yeah, they've now saying this on commentary. Oh, well. We'll all move on from this, and in a month's time, we'll just be saying it, or just keep calling him Edge, which is
which is what I do in my notes. Edge over and over again. Edge introduced there, and then it's mostly FTR versus D-Riders for a bit. They work over Dax. Dax gets the hot tag to Cope, and then it's Cope versus Mox. They start trading blows in the middle of the ring. They brawl out to the fans. Claudia does this great spot. I thought the best spot of the night, actually, where Cash Wheeler, now he does those fridge freezer unit dives to the outside. He's going to do that, but Claudio runs in from out of nowhere and clobbers him with an uppercut.
Great. Claudio's awesome.
And then Mox and Cope, they're brawling on the commentary table. Mox goes to do a pile driver, but he flips over. Cope flips Mox over the top of him. White takes out Wheeler Yuta in the ring when all this is happening. A few things were missed here by the cameras. And then Cope dives off the table and goes through the barricade with Mox. FTR hit a Shat Machine on Yuta, and Edge hits a spear to win.
Yeah. A fine 6-man tag. Given a lot of time. About 20 plus minutes.
Yeah.
But it was fine. It was a fine little match.
Yeah. I thought it was a good match.
Yeah.
didn't feel like the main event of the first episode of the year.
No.
Maybe it's high standard there.
I would agree with you, but I overall I very much enjoyed this episode of Dynamite. It was sort of this sounds like I'm being harsh, but I mean it's a positive. More of the same, which is that like I think Dynamite has been consistently pretty good throughout 2024, and it's got off to a start here that's like that was in line with the shows they've done towards the end of last year. Yeah,
I'd probably give it a 70%, 3.5 out of 5.
Yeah, if I was doing ratings, I'd have said 3 out of 5.
Well, we've got the ratings for the song. Not excited, 52%. So excited, 47%.
Yes.
It's Brexit. It is a thin victory for not excited.
Yeah. It's essentially 50-50.
Yeah. So that's but we've got the poll for the episode rating that's just gone up. Please vote in that. We don't have any Pledge Hammer shout-outs today. That will come later in the month. But please do go over to patreon.com/WrestleTalk. There's loads of bonus things with me and Luke over there talking. The breakup of The Shield, Samoa Joe versus Kurt Angle in TNA. Loads of fun there. So go over to patreon.com/WrestleTalk to join there. Our remaining Omega chats, last call for those. Juan Gordo Guellen.
We did that one before
Okay, we've already done it. Anonymous says, "Good day, W. I'm so happy that we have so many top stars calling their shot for the men's world title. Only wish they'd treat the women's world title with the importance it deserves."
Absolutely.
Yeah, here was an opportunity to do that, I thought. Like, why couldn't Julia Hart and Jamie Hayter be a sort of informal number one contendership?
Yeah.
The derpiest of derps says, "Happy New Year, lads. Thought this was kind of a weak start to AEW on Max. Cope? More like Adam Copium. What I care about today is finding out Luke likes Warhammer. Do you prefer fantasy or 40k? And what are your favourite factions?"
I was a 40k player. I should also caveat this. In the 1990s, I was a 40k player. I've not played any of the more recent editions. And the 90s was a long time ago. But I used to play a lot of 40k with my brother, and I was Blood Angels. Mostly because when you buy the base set, you come with the Space Marine, the Chaos Marines, and the Blood Angels. And I liked the Blood Angels because I thought their signature was cool. But yeah, so I liked them. The Gene Stealers, I think, are cool. And I can't remember what they're called now, but they're blue with the yellow helmets. I was going to call them Endor, but that's the planet from Star Wars. I can't think what they're called now.
Elves?
Eldar. That's exactly who they were. Thank you very much. I knew it began with E. But as I got into the 2000s, and this actually started from the 90s, but I carried it over into the 2000s. I got really into Necromunda. I love Necromunda. From what I've been told, like the revamp version they've done of it recently is just as good. But I love Necromunda.
Kazoo. Almost forgot there was a review today. Holiday ruining my sense of time. Max era of AEW begins and no Pip on the Max stream. That's picture in picture. Fine episode. But a very noticeable lack of top guys besides Swerve and Moxley. Edge, please go back to Adam Copeland.
I think time will tell on that one. I don't like either name. So I think it's because I don't like either name. I'm not bothered of which one he's going to pick.
Real Double J says, few more thoughts. As a British child of the 90s...
I
know.
I nearly made this joke in the edited review, and I was like, it's too niche.
I hear Pointer Sisters, which is, I'm so excited, and immediately crave a crunchy bar rather than wrestling.
If I can go even more niche, it makes me think of the Friday episode of Coronation Street. Because Coronation Street was sponsored by Cadbury's. But the Friday episode in particular was sponsored by Cadbury's Crunchy because it gives you that Friday feeling. So they used to have the I'm so excited bumpers leading into the Friday episodes of Corrie.
And it was like a chocolate roller coaster.
Yep.
With roller coaster chocolate people. Sorry, I've got a bit of a cough. Cope should be Coop. He can then also lean into Twin Peak references.
Or basketball references.
And Luke, what did your friends think of The Traitors?
We're all very much enjoying this series. We've now got our own...
Linda! Damn it.
Yes? Really enjoying it. I don't want to go into any spoilers in case anyone hasn't seen the first episode. But there was one person I felt in particular really bad for. The first person that the Traitors off. because I'm like, this is what you get for being too vocal about being too good at these sorts of things.
That's what you get for being annoying. Rafael Garcia says, personally, I would have loved if they used Ready to Die by Andrew WK, but that's just me.
If Andrew WK was the theme song for this, they opened this with Party Hard.
Now it's time to party hard.
Party hard. Or even We Want Fun from the Jackass soundtrack.
Aside from that, I feel like it was a good show, but I felt conflicted. I get why Will wasn't there, because he literally bled out at World's End, but he was missed here.
Yeah.
Zaref Menberg for 40 months. Happy New Year! I enjoy not having to pay a premium to watch AEW, but Max doesn't have picture-in-picture. Hopefully something they'll fix in the future.
So what do they have instead then? Does it just like go to a commercial break? I don't know.
Maybe it's just the black screen.
Because we just get it on the fight feed, so we get the wrestling with low energy Excalibur and Tony Schiavone commentary.
Ryan V says, love to see you guys together again for the Dynamite stream. Having said that, I was severely disappointed with how the show was the first thing people should have seen for a simulcast was Bobby Lashley, Swerve, Ospreay, or MJF, not Orange Cassidy.
I think I would disagree there, because Orange Cassidy has been consistently one of their biggest ratings movers and merch sellers. Who may not be everyone's cup of tea, but statistic-wise, he is kind of high in a lot of categories.
He's just like a classically great Dynamite opening match wrestler as well.
And he had a great match here.
Alan says, Luke, we need a segment of Kevin Nash with a whiteboard explaining the math for the optimal spot in the casino gauntlet. Problem solved. No on the new intro. Definitely does not set the tone of the show. Swerve attacks Ricochet with a rock next week.
With a rock, not the rock.
NS Ogre, been a member for 40 months. Tickets for Cincy gets 3-week sales. Is that Cincinnati?
I believe so.
No promotions or signings advertised. No 2-night packages. Why are they still bad at this? In ring will be good. That's just AEW's sort of, they don't get the on-ground business side of things sometimes.
Yeah.
Chris Wagstaff. Love Jarrett, but rather than aiming for the world title, I'd love to see him defend his forgotten Leatherface belt first. Also, like the idea of Team TNA saying, are you sure? Because they knew he was going to challenge Mox. Oh, okay, that works.
I like
quite
that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Take It Easy says, hey lads, after listening to the last Joe versus Angle, thought you guys would like another Russo match from my local indie, the Mile High Tag Match, where all the wrestlers are high, and this match is where the titles changed hands. What's your guys' favourite Russo match?
It's the Last Rites. No, I keep getting this wrong. No, it was the Last Rites match. I keep getting that one confused with the Doomsday Chamber of Blood match. But the Last Rites match is the one where you have to put them in a coffin and then have the coffin raised above the ring. Because that did prompt the Impact Zone to chant Fire Russo.
There's too many to choose
as
from.
It's being raised up as well, sort of big and dramatic. Fire Russo.
Wow, Mile High match. Homer Star says, with the start of the new year, I want to thank you guys for keeping my love of wrestling alive. The tribalism and toxicity has made me question my love for this sport, but it's channels like you that make me remember that this fandom isn't all bad.
Yeah, get off Twitter.
Yeah.
That's my 2025 plea to everyone is to, if you want to get involved in wrestling fandom, find some friends and stuff to talk about it, but get off Twitter.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's conducive to a wrestling discussion. I think it breeds negativity.
And then once you're off Twitter, what I've seen as the best thing to do is then get really tribalistic about how Blue Sky's better. and sort of make a big point of your identity to mention you're now on Blue Sky.
Yeah. Maybe it's just get off all social media. I think that's probably the best thing for everyone to do.
But still watch us.
Yes. This is the only social media channel. Join us. Our live chat here is I'd say 90% usually fine.
I don't consider us social media on YouTube. I consider us video content.
I think YouTube thinks differently. I think it would like you to treat this like it's a social media channel.
Stephen Duggan says, Happy New Year, guys. Highlight of my 2024 was meeting you, Ollie, at All In and giving you our friendship bracelets.
Yeah!
Oh, yeah, we've got those up in the office. They're on each of our desks.
I was going to say, I haven't been wearing mine. The only reason I haven't been wearing them is my kids taken to it. So
I don't wear mine because I'm 36 years old.
Well,
but I do love it, and I have it on my desk.
I actually think it was a genuinely heartwarming moment for me because I've never really had anything like that before, so it was a genuinely lovely thing. But my kid is very much taken with it. She likes bracelets and all that sort of stuff. She's got Bluey and Bingo friendship bracelets. She got free with a magazine, so she's getting a lot. She's like, I want to wear them.
Sorry, Stephen continues there. Anyway, love the Ricochet angle and the main event. Can't wait for Kenny and Jeff Jarrett for world champion. Luke must be so pumped. Much love from ?
Yeah.
Exclamation mark.
Very good. Yeah, you're absolutely right. So Jessie from Saved by the Bell, when she takes, oh man, what is this? She basically gets addicted to caffeine, I think, because she's trying to stay up for a test. A single on those lines, but she's singing "I'm so excited," right. And then she has her breakdown moments where she goes like, "I'm so excited, I'm so scared." It's brilliant. Like, it's up there with "Why doesn't he want me, man?" Like from the Fresh Prince.
A serious.
Yeah, it's a very serious thing.
Oh, okay. Was that Stephen Duggan's chat? That's just randomly in there. It says US mods or us mods, or
maybe just us from the moderating team.
Ben says, do you guys think his heat is actually the good kind, or it's go away heat? What makes heat good versus bad to you guys? I imagine this is Ricochet.
Ricochet, I would have thought this is in reference to, yeah. Yeah, well, I don't think it's go away heat. Certainly. No. Like I think this was legit heat.
And people even before then, it wasn't go away heat. I think it was people were enjoying booing him, all the bald stuff and things like that.
So like Dominic Mysterio, it's the fun sort of heat of ways like it's really fun to boo you.
And I think that's that's one of the defining bits of good heat and bad heat. I'd also say anything where it crosses over into anger at the promotion or the person rather than the characters or the story. Yeah, that is now bad heat.
I think. Would you say it's fair to say Baron Corbin is an example of go away heat?
It depends on the usage of them.
Like his 2019, like Constable Corbin, like when he was going after Seth. What do you call a policeman with a
constable?
What do you call a policeman with a shaved vagina?
I don't know.
Constable. Like the Constable Corbin going for the world title, tagging with Lacey Evans, running against Becky and Seth. I think that's probably an example of I'm angry at the promotion for doing this.
Yeah. Rob Burwell, member for 40 months in a row. Swerve could still be feuding with the Hurt Syndicate as the psychotic side of Trevor who hurts people will join the Hurt Syndicate.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, he was always one of the guys for the original lineup. But they went with Cedric because they thought that would help him more.
Yeah.
Ace Trainer Lerm, unrelated, but Netflix has uploaded a superstar profiles section which features a short video explaining different stars, some of which are currently on SmackDown. Might be a good idea as to who is going to Raw.
Interesting.
That is interesting. And Ace Trainer Lerm again says, okay, about Dynamite. I thought it was a good show, but I haven't been keeping up with Dynamite all over the last few months. I watch because it's on Max, and I have Max, and that makes it easy. I don't have cable. I could have used a few video packages. Well, this was actually a video package-heavy show for Dynamite.
I was going to say, if anything, I was maybe one too many video packages on the show.
Well, anyway, thank you very much for all of your messages today. Let's see what our final poll results are for the quality of this show.
So people are saying that I swore there. I don't think I did.
You said constable.
Constable. I think you get your minds out of the gutter is the problem. 63% thumbs up, 30% in the middle.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I'd say that's about right.
Please do go over to patreon.com/WrestleTalk to watch loads more podcast stuff with Luke and I. But for now, I've been Ollie Davis. This has been Luke Owen, DAD. Jam that jam.
Jam that jam.